Hey, Chin Music listeners, welcome to episode 26 of Chin Music with Mitch and Tony. We're your hosts, Mitch Bone and Tony Legale. Tony, how are
Mitchell.
you this week, man?
Man, I'm doing great, Mitchell. I'm excited to be here. Had a nice little couple weeks here of productive stuff, and a lot of stuff going on in the sports world, a lot of stuff in the betting world, and just some fun things coming up here. Great time of year for sports, my friend. How about
Oh, it
you?
is, man. It's not quite fall because I feel like fall is really like the epicenter of sports because you got football involved in that too.
Yeah, with the
Close
World
second.
Series, I know. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Mitchell, you'll never believe, but I just cracked open an ice cold non-alcoholic White Claw.
I did see that when we were talking pre-recording here. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know they made non-alcoholic White Claw.
Well, I didn't either, and in making, we're coming to you on April 10th, Wednesday, April 10th, and tonight we're going to be doing some gourmet
Gourmet.
nachos.
Ooh,
Nachos for the
nice.
fam. Yeah, because tonight, and we'll get into this in a sec, but the Edmonton Oilers are hosting the Las Vegas Knights, baby. So we're gonna sit down and watch a little McJesus and a little Eichel, and hopefully,
Nice.
hopefully the Knights show up to play. That would be awesome
Nice.
because it's been a weird deal. What's going on, Mitchell? Anything new in the world of you?
Not really, man. I've last weekend my brother and dad were home, so we kind of just hunkered down as a family.
Hunkered down.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say that. My brother and I went out to dinner on Saturday night at the Divide. Then we went out to
Oh,
Back Nine, hung out there with a few
yeah.
of his friends. So that was fun.
That is fun.
Yeah, I went out to Carver's Friday night as a family, and it's a good weekend.
I love Carvers. And the back nine, I really actually enjoy. I think it's a really nice setup.
It is, yeah,
Yeah, kind of a cool little spot, something different. Yeah, nice.
for sure, for sure. So no, beyond that, doing school, um, hanging out on the radio every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Heck yeah, man.
Working out.
Living. Yeah. What are
Yep.
you? What's your? What have you been working out? Like you go to the gym. Like what's like your go-to regiment? Like, do you have a regiment or like is there workouts?
So I excuse me, I go to Alloy. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah, yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, so I go there and they do everything for me. I don't have to come up with the routine that I do.
Yeah. What's your
So,
most dreaded lift? The one that you just can't do. Like that you
the one
just
that
like
I
don't want to do.
dread probably the most is anything to do with ropes.
Oh,
So like any
why?
sort of like cardio rope or anything like that, I cannot do it.
Do you have a rope phobia? Phobia?
I do. No, I
You
just
do. You have that rear phobia. Oh shit.
no, but like we do that, or we'll like pull like the tanks that like they use for like linemen and linebackers.
You're pulling tanks. No
We
wonder
pull one of
you
those.
fucking
Yeah,
hate it. Yeah, we're pulling tanks with this rope, and I can't get. I just don't like that lift.
I
It's
actually don't
really
mind that,
hard.
but it's just doing the cardio rope, man. It kills me.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it
The
shows I probably need
rope.
to do more cardio.
Oh, don't we all, buddy? Don't we all? Heck yeah. Got some interesting news in the sports world, Mitchell.
Okay.
Um, in regards to the NHL playoffs.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so well, first and
Because last we talked,
foremost,
they were all really close.
yeah, so let me just, as it lies, currently, you have in your Pacific Division, we'll just go down the conference here, but Dallas, Vancouver, Colorado, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Nashville have all clinched.
Really?
Meanwhile, yes. Meanwhile, LA Kings sit in the wild card spot along with at 93 points and the Vegas Golden Knights at 92 points. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. So St. Louis, Minnesota, Nashville's already in and going down to the
Wow.
wild card here. Yeah, wild card. Yeah, I mean, safe to say you would assume the Knights would make it, but if the Blues come out of nowhere with a curveball, that would be atrocious. But yeah, outside of that, yeah, things are heating up. Knights have a tough schedule to finish out the season as they are, in Edmonton this evening, and then they host the Minnesota Wild, who have really they put up tough matchups against the Knights for whatever reason. They are a pretty decent team, but then the Knights will host on Sunday at 1:30. They're going to host the Abs. So,
That'll be a good game.
well, yeah, they just it's too bad they got to finish with the strength schedule like that. They lost on Monday night and they played the Canucks and now they're rolling into Edmonton, so they got a pretty tough battle, but should be a lot of uh, entertaining stuff going on tonight. So,
For sure.
outside of that, Mitchell, just sitting back and watching right now.
Awesome. So if you were a betting man today, I know
Yes.
you are.
Yeah. Let me just. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I'll let you finish your
What I was
thinking.
going to say is, if I remember right, in the beginning of the year, you said Edmonton was going to win the Stanley Cup. Am I correct?
I said Edmonton would win the President's Trophy,
Okay.
which they have really let me down there. Um, I don't think
So
there's
let's give you a redo.
okay.
At this point in the season, which I know it's almost the end of the regular season, who do you think whenever, I can't remember when the Stanley Cup
Yeah.
finishes up, but when that finishes up, who do you think is going to be holding the Stanley Cup at the end?
Okay, Stanley Cup picks. Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, this
We'll
is a
give you a chance
little.
to redeem yourself from the.
Well, we got. I mean, I'll get hopefully get a chance to redeem myself on like the actual when we do a show on the playoffs, your first
Yeah.
round. Currently, who do I see holding the cup at the end of the year? Uh, oh, I tell you, it's a crapshoot, but man, it would be very interesting to not see. I can't answer that. I have no idea. I
Because
really don't.
I know you've said that there's like 25 teams that legitimately could.
Well, there's
There's not, but
there's 14, 15. I mean, if you make the playoffs, it's like that's the thing. 2000, I think it was 2012, when the Los Angeles Kings made the playoffs as a wild card, and then I think they swept the whole playoffs.
yeah,
They didn't lose a game.
yeah,
Or something like that, or they made a last series, they swept them. I forget, but then they won the cup, and they're on the verge of getting in. They're currently sitting in a playoff spot, but yeah, I would be real surprised just because of the pieces that this team has, and that there's been failure in the last two seasons, but. I would really, really like to see the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid play for a Stanley Cup. Now, that can't happen as a Knights fan, right? Because, I mean, ultimately they can't get there. But I'm hoping the Knights pull something together. They were up 4-1 the other night against the Coyotes about a week ago. And we're talking, Coyotes are, I think they at that point had lost 22 of their last, or something ridiculous, but they're obviously a bottom barrel team,
right.
28th right now. But they came back and on the Knights. The Knights came out really, really good. Ended up 4-1 going into the third. The Coyotes came back and won 7-4.
Jeez.
Six unanswered in the third. So yeah, there's some concerns. You know what I mean? It's
Wow.
just it's so hard with this hockey stuff, man, because it's like they're all phenomenal, and sometimes like it's like I said to you, that statistic that blew me out of the water was
Yeah.
not the winning percentage of the top tier New York Rangers with 110 points sitting in first place of the President's Trophy, but the winning percentage of the Sharks being at almost 30%. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that means one out of every three being at the bottom of the barrel. These guys are still playing in the NHL. So it's a really that's why the playoffs are so fun, because if you get in, you got a shot. You just do. If you get
Right.
hot, you get hot, and it's fun. It's fun that way. I like that hockey is neutral that way, because I feel like some teams walk through deals, and I don't know.
You're a fan of one of those teams.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but
You're a
those.
Yankees fan.
Nah, those we didn't. Yeah, there was a couple walkthroughs. Yeah, out of those 26.
They should walk through it this year. Just give them the trophy at this point.
Yeah.
Um, but before we get into baseball, so my one question with hockey, because I
Yeah.
don't follow it that religiously.
Well,
Watched a few games here and there, but nothing like you. Um, I remember a few years ago, it seemed like Tampa Bay could not lose.
yeah.
Are we gonna see another team like that just can't lose?
Um, Potentially, yeah, absolutely. Um, I believe the salary cap's coming up next year as well. So, yeah, I do see that. I mean, I would like the Lightning are still that team that you're talking about. Like they're still really together, and
They're still good.
they're gonna make the playoffs. And who's to say they can't? I mean, they have Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman, Steven Stamkos, Braden Point. I mean, they're stacked,
Yeah,
and they get in every year, and so they still could. But in regards to a dynasty like that, I would say with this younger
like is
talent.
like Vegas the closest maybe?
Well, I mean, they got the first one out of the way, obviously, the most recent. But I mean, here's what Vegas is doing, man, and that's the thing is they made massive moves, man. Like at the trade deadline, they went out, they got Anthony Mantha from the Washington Capitals, and this dude's like I swear, like 6'4", 6'5", just massive dude. Like looks like a lumberjack. He's a forward, shoots the puck well. They went out and got Noah Hannafin, and they did this something similar to this last year, like at the
Yeah,
same time. Where they kind of went all in on a couple guys, and it worked out. And then they got Stone back. Now they're getting Tomas Hertl back, that they also went out and acquired. But yeah, I mean, ideally, people, the way that they're utilizing the end of the year salary cap is kind of catching the attention of a lot of disappointed fans that their team isn't doing it. But
hmm
I would say if there's anybody I could see at the moment in the NHL to be a team like that, I think McKinnon and McCarr, and I think the Avs are
Oh yeah,
probably. I mean, they're the real deal. I mean, Nathan McKinnon is the real deal. Like, obviously, everybody knows that. I'm not breaking news here, but I'm sorry, I get so excited about talking about him, because watching him play is it's just you watch it. He's here, he's there, and all of a sudden the puck's in the back of the net. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, fantastic. And I love McCarr, and I think that team's going to be a real big threat. And I wouldn't be surprised if they hoisted the cup at the end of this deal.
And they hoisted it a couple years ago, so
They did.
that could maybe be the start of a dynasty there.
Well, yeah, well, in Dynasty, you want to talk about that. I mean, uh, depending on the NHL draft and how that goes this year, I mean, Chicago could be another team like that, where they build it all around Bedard, and like
Yeah,
Bedard is that generational, and like he's I mean he's one in the same chain evolutionizing like the evolution of the game, one in the same conversation, I believe, as McDavid.
Yeah,
He's that good.
I believe it. I
So
mean, I haven't watched the Blackhawks this year. I watched a couple of Knights games for you,
not a boy. Thank you.
and then I watched a couple of Kraken games. That's what I watched. Those were disappointing.
That was really disappointing. Yeah. So Mitchell, baseball is underway.
Baseball is underway.
Wrapping
The number one
wrapping up on
prospect
hockey.
in the game is officially being called up today.
Yes, she is. Is his
Jackson Holiday.
debut, right?
Debut is going to be either today. Well, I don't know if they played a day game today, but it'll either be today or tomorrow.
Yeah, and what do you think of that? I mean, he's a real deal.
Oh,
What do you
he is
think?
the real deal. He is a stud. That Orioles team got even scarier adding him to the lineup.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Orioles are the real deal.
I also believe that. I mean, they got some dudes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
I mean, they've got
I
Corbin
got the
Burns
Orioles to
now.
win that division.
Yeah. I think the only team getting in their way is your Yankees. And I only say that because the Yankees can hit the crap out of the ball.
I have a futures bet now. Like a futures bet is a lot different than the hearts, Mitchell. But I do have a futures bet on the Orioles
Okay.
to win that division.
I mean, honestly, it probably will happen. They won it last year and they've only gotten
Mm-hmm.
better.
Yeah, they're the real deal for sure.
Yeah.
Any Is there anybody that you're surprised is having a hot start?
Yeah, Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Cleveland, I am very surprised is having a hot start because they have they have Jose Ramirez, who's a top 10 player in the MLB.
Always, somehow, always, yeah.
But beyond that, they don't have anyone.
Mhm. They got good pitching though.
They've got decent pitching.
I
Um,
mean,
their star is out for the year now,
yeah.
but behind him, they didn't have great pitching, and they're still above 500, which we're 10, 12 games into the year. But
They're middle of the road, right?
yeah, they'll
Yeah.
be middle of the road by the end of the year.
They're not going to make playoffs, are they?
No, because that division is so bad, only one team will make it.
Well, they might be the worst team though.
They,
I
I
mean,
think,
they might be the best worst team, is what I mean.
I think there's two teams better than them in that division.
Who is that? Cincinnati in that division?
No, they're in the NL Central,
Hmm.
which is another bad
I
division.
meant, I meant, I meant. Yeah. So you got who's in that division?
So you got the White Sox, who are just absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
You have the Twins, who are pretty good, and then I think the Royals are better.
The Royals are kind of legit.
Yeah, and then you have the Tigers, who are okay. They're not bad.
Yeah, they won't make the playoffs. I
They're
mean,
not going
I
to make the
think.
playoffs, but they're
Uh,
not
who's your division pick for that? Royals?
probably.
Yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. What's up?
Yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. is a stud. Salvador Perez is still a monster at 40 years old. He's not that old, but he's old.
What's that
Um,
like?
their pitchers are okay in that division. It'll get them by. I think they're the best team.
Anybody off to a slow start at the plate that you're thinking of off the top of your head? Anybody that potentially is on your team that you really like that sucks?
We're not even going to talk about the Mariners.
Really, your first guy that doesn't pop into your head isn't Julio?
Yeah, it is.
Uh,
But the second one that isn't going
uh,
to make me want to like hurt myself is
like that is a tough deal. Like we won't get into it. We have to devote hours to this conversation about the
oh my
Mariners.
god. Yeah, so the other one is Francisco Lindor.
Francisco.
He and I think he's dug himself out a little bit, but at one point he was batting like 040.
Oh, yeah, Francisco.
Yeah. And it was just like, how are you so good and you've started the year off so bad?
Do
I
you
don't get it.
are you surprised that Christian Yelich is going off like he is?
No, I figured he would just need to figure it out in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he kind of just he needed a couple years though.
Yeah.
Like he I mean, I don't
I
know what
also think he dealt
happened.
with some injuries though
Oh
that
yeah.
kind of plagued him a little bit, and he may have been playing through some injuries that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Because like I'm gonna take it back to the Mariners now. That's all the further we're getting.
Thank
Um,
God.
Ty France last year played with a bunch of injuries, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's not hitting home runs. He's not hitting home runs. What's wrong with him?" Well, then you find out at the end of the year he was dealing with a bunch of different injuries, and you're like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Hmm.
So I think Christian Yelich was probably playing through a lot more injury than what we knew,
We'll
and
never know.
I think he's finally 100% healthy. And yeah, I think we're gonna get maybe not MVP Christian Yelich anymore, but we'll get a decent Christian Yelich.
Definitely. Definitely.
I think he'll kind of be like what Cody Bellinger is now. Cody Bellinger's not going to be an MVP, I don't think, ever again.
No.
I'm kind of hoping I'm wrong with that one. I really like
Same.
Cody
I love
Bellinger.
Belly. Love Belly. I
um,
feel
if
like
he
you
can
can
just
only
be a
swing like that
serviceable
for so long.
outfielder and hit for some power, sweet. He'll get
Yeah, I don't
money
know.
year in and year out.
What do you now? Do you what happened with him? Like, I mean, I mean, it wasn't a swing change. Obviously, they wouldn't have done that. Like, how did that guy lose his? Like, I mean, I don't want to say
Well,
lose it because he's a stud. Like, he's Cody Bellinger, but like,
yeah,
why the regression?
I kind of wonder. So sometimes guys can't perform under like the massive lights of an LA and a New York,
Hmm.
which I know he's in Chicago now, so it's still semi big, but it's not LA or New York. And I kind of wonder if the pressure of being the MVP, the superstar, the playoff hero kind of got to him.
Yeah, potentially.
I mean, I have no idea because I don't know Cody Bellinger, sadly, but I could maybe see that being the case. And then he went to Chicago and he's had a decent resurgence there.
Who's the most exciting player? What are you most excited about watching baseball right now at this time of year, or just like in your mind right now? What's the most exciting thing about baseball, and like what do you love, eager to watch more of?
Well, since my Mariners are sucking it up, I love watching the Atlanta Braves. I'm going to come out and say it. They are the most fun team in baseball.
You like them?
Yep.
I feel a similar thought,
Yeah.
except for, and we're gonna have to mark this down on the calendar because I can't believe I'm saying this. I have watched quite a few Los Angeles Dodgers games.
I could see that. This year I can see that, even though
I
they're like
mean, they are
Darth Vader,
so
but
so fun to watch. Like you got Mookie, Freddie, Otani. Like I mean, 1 through 9,
yeah.
they're
You know what
stacked.
I've noticed about me, and I don't know if it's just me, but I really love the Latin American players, and it's because they play with such joy.
Yeah, like who are
Like
you
you
referring
watch
to?
Al or not Al, well, I do love Albies, but you watch Acuna hit a double, and he's like cheering
Yeah.
like the rest of us fans.
Oh yeah.
You watch Julio get a hit. He's having the time of his life.
Oh yeah.
And I just love that about the Latin American players. They truly love the game.
I think they're great for the game too. That kind of mentality. If you don't count they're great for the game if you don't count the 45 necklaces that each player wears now. I can't get behind it. I mean, I'm all right with the chain, with the puppet chain. You'll know if you hit a
I was
hole in
gonna say
run.
both you and I wear a chain, Tony. So
I'm just saying, bro. I watched a, well, I'm just gonna say it. I watched a Yankee game, and I'm really excited about this player. Although I could
Juan Soto.
be, no, I watched Alex Verdugo
Oh yeah,
with the Yankees, and dude, like it was
he
too
wears a lot
much,
of
man.
bling.
It was too much, and I was kind of like, I don't know, man. It's too much, man. It's too much overkill for the game of baseball. I'm not like old school, like get that shit out of your ears or whatever, whatever. These guys are in the show, but like, can we just keep it to like one or two? Like,
And this, guys, is the Yankee fan talking.
I mean, come on, bro. What is this? Now we gotta worry about what necklace we're gonna wear instead of making a decision as to, we gotta
Tony,
focus on how many necklaces you're gonna wear during the game. I mean, Acuna wears like 7 necklaces, bro, and you can't tell me that this is practical. I want to hear you say it if that's how you feel.
it's
You feel
practical.
it's
I think it's
practical.
awesome, but I don't think it's
You think it's
practical.
awesome. Why would you think that's awesome? You watch that shit jingle around the bases. Like, I
It brings personality to the game, Tony.
Oh my
And I know
god.
that you are like a fan of the most uniform team. Your beard wouldn't be allowed on the freaking Yankees.
Well, that's fine if I'm on the Yankees. I mean, I'd probably make an exception. I mean, anyways, I guess I'm alone here, but is I think one chain is appropriate. Two is
No,
a
some of
little
them go
flashy.
overboard. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I you can't stop him though.
I
Like,
know. Yes. We had a pretty entertaining March Madness. I almost picked the winner in Purdue, but they were just, I mean, that UConn team was just too much, right? Like, they're like,
yeah,
what did you know the actual, this stuff better than I do, but how many players on that team are like going to the NBA or like, there's got to be some sort of massive advantage that they had over everybody. That big, tall kid that looked like Matthew Kachuk, he was massive, white
he
dude.
was. So I don't know that. I do know UConn's pretty much a powerhouse, and probably at least two or three of them are going to go to the pros, but I don't know which ones. Um, but the one thing I will say, and this is for both the men's and the women's game, um, the team that played more like a team won in both instances. So, you mentioned Zach Edey. Purdue was a one-man show.
Yeah,
Like, they fed it to Zach Edey. All of UConn knew it was going to Zach Edey,
right.
and their other players just weren't shooting that well.
Yeah, yeah,
So they were relying on Zach Edey. Well, that's not a recipe for success.
yeah, yeah.
And the same thing happened in the women's game with South Carolina and Iowa.
Oh yeah,
I give Caitlin Clark all the credit in the world. She's the greatest women's basketball player ever for college, one of the best overall, men or women. But again, they relied too much on her. And South Carolina played like a team.
yeah. They played great. That was a
Yeah.
great game to watch, and yeah, it didn't really matter the outcome of that game. Like, it's just pretty always cool when people are that talented that they can make a big splash, and I guarantee you that the viewership and the ratings on that game were probably higher than any other NCAA championship women's basketball ever.
They said that this year's tournament, because of the talent in the women's side, had more viewership than the men's side all throughout.
Really,
Yeah. Well, because
I
if you
believe
look
it.
at it, so the
I mean, I
WNBA
watched.
draft is in like a week or two, and the top 7 or 8 picks were all extremely good stars in this year's March Madness.
Huh.
And that's like unheard of in the WNBA draft.
Wow.
To have that deep of yeah, you're going to be a
Draft
star in the
class.
next level.
What do you mean? So, what do they just get them from overseas or what?
No, it's just so they may come from. I guess what I'm saying is there weren't that many like Caitlin Clark, and then you
Right.
had Cameron Brink. You had the girl from LSU. I can't think of her name right now. Anyway, the girl from LSU, and you have like 5 or 6 others that are legitimately stars in college, and will be stars in the WNBA. You've maybe had 2 or 3 a draft before.
Hmm.
This year is just a lot deeper.
Got it. Deep draft class, Caitlin Clark. It was a great
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Good deal.
One more
Masters right
thing
around the
about
corner.
women's college basketball, though, before we
Oh,
jump off. Sorry,
sorry.
on a different sport. One of the greats, Tara Vanderveer, who coached at Stanford for I think close to 40 years, announced her retirement.
I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, and she's an absolute legend. So wish her the best in retirement. But
Yeah,
yeah, she'll be a tough one for anyone to fill the shoes of
no doubt. No doubt.
for sure.
So bringing up the Masters. I haven't made my picks yet, but we got the Masters coming up. Stanley
We
Cup
do.
playoffs. Why don't you touch briefly before we get out of here? Anything going on in the NBA? Who's your pick to win it all?
Oh man, so that's tough. So the Celtics are a really good, well-rounded team. They're the number one team out of the East. The rest of the East is garbage. So I'm not picking anybody out of the East except for maybe the Celtics to win it all. The West is tougher because there's a lot of teams that are really clumped together. But my team I think could get out of it is Oklahoma City. They're
Well,
young. They play really well together. Again, kind of like what the college teams did. And yes, they have a star, but he's not necessarily their best player every single night. So I think they're probably the best well-rounded team. I think it'll be Oklahoma City and Boston, and maybe Boston will win it just because they're a little bit more experienced.
love it. Love it. That would be cool. Yeah, well, I probably will watch a couple of those games. Not gonna lie.
Well, the problem, and I like the NBA, and I'll watch a game from here and there, but the problem with their playoffs, so they'll start in a couple of weeks. They don't
It
end until
lasts.
June.
No, I know the Knights or the Stanley Cup playoffs are 2.5 months. Also,
It's like baseball, which is a sport that's notorious for being long. Their playoffs are a month.
yeah,
Footballs are a month.
yeah.
Why are these other sports 2.5, 3 months?
I don't know. There's just more going on, buddy. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I also don't understand. So, I mean, obviously, when you have the baseball playoffs, they have 7 game series, just like the NBA, just like the
Yeah,
NHL, but they have them every night.
every night. That's true.
Why can't the NBA do that?
I don't know
Why can't the NHL? I
because
just
they're
don't get it.
tired, Mitch. They're tired from skating around.
Well, baseball players are tired too,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I do have a couple of baseball things here as we're kind of wrapping up. One, did you see the A's are moving somewhere temporarily?
Yes, they're moving to Sacramento.
They are moving to Sacramento, and I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that this might be a ploy from Sacramento to get the team to move there permanently.
Really?
Yep.
But I thought they already committed to Vegas.
They've committed to Vegas and the league is committed to Vegas, but Vegas is not committed to them.
Oh, Vegas is going to put that deal together.
I would think so. They did the same thing with the Raiders, but
Yeah, same
I
thing.
mean,
I mean, yeah.
but yeah,
That
it's
would,
still an interesting thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's funny though. But and then also, did you see that the A's sent down one of their best players to AAA?
I did not see this. Why would they do that?
I honest to God, I have no idea. He started the year batting over 400, and then they're like, "We're gonna send you down to AAA."
Who is
I,
it?
I don't get it.
Who is it?
Estuary Ruiz, he led the league, led the American League in stolen bases last year,
And they sent him down, huh?
and they sent him down to AAA.
They were just like, "No, you're too good. We don't need teams like looking at you or what."
Maybe that's it.
No,
I
they know.
don't
They
know.
know. Those guys know.
I mean,
Maybe he's
I,
a turd.
I mean, I just sit there and I'm a well-known Mariners fan. Been a Mariners
Well
fan my
known.
whole life. They're a
Very
train
well
wreck of a
known.
franchise.
Hmm.
But I look at this athletics team right now and I'm like, Jesus, they're worse off than the Mariners have ever been.
Well, if they mess up this Vegas deal somehow, I'm out forever.
Yeah. But anyways, huge as we kind of wrap up, huge thanks to our sponsors as always, and come back and listen to us talk nonsense next week.
Do it. Just do it. Mitchell, it was a pleasure hanging out with you. Thanks to everybody that listens. And go Knights.
Go Knights, go Mariners, go whatever. Yep.
Peace out.
All right, peace out.